So we're going to go into the workshop session. It's a workshop on habits, goals. So Sheyadema is my name, so there are three parts to this session. So the first part on the presentation, I'll be taking it with Biola, and then during the group discussion, we'll be having Dr. Morales join us to kind of facilitate. I'd like to thank Pastor for this opportunity. So Pastor brought this idea and then we start developing it, and thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity to be able to share this and everybody to work on this. There is a lot to cover, right? So there's a lot to cover, but the objective is for us to pick, certain principles. If you can pick two, if you can pick three, then when we get home, then we can start to build upon that and develop it further. If you look at your pack, there is a worksheet there that we're going to be using during the breakout session. So when we get there, please take that worksheet and then we can have some examples that will work together in our groups. So there will be some groups here in the room, and there will also be one group for those that are online, so which will also attend to. Let's make it very practical. And when it comes to habit, it's something that is very practical. I know everybody can share something, so we've gone through it, but what we're trying to do and what we are trying to bring out from here is also, the concepts around it and understanding the process and applying some principles and strategies can help us to be more effective. So it's about key concepts and the applications when we try and apply it, and then we'll come together and wrap it up in that sense. So, but, the fact that we're doing this, we are all learning together. I'm not an expert. There are many habits. In fact, while preparing for this, I identified some habits that I need to, work on, all right? So if nobody in my group suggests, I can give them something practical, and then they can give me ideas on how I can go about it. So let's make it very practical as much as possible. So let's move on in the presentation. So in terms of the objectives, basically to understand relationships within goals and habits. People set goals, we need to set goals, but how do we achieve our goals? How do we get necessary processes to make sure that our goals are achievable? And beyond the goals, how do we go into the mode of continuous improvement? Little improvement that compound over time. That's one of the key concepts. Look at the importance of identity in habit formation, understand the process of habit formation. So that's one key thing we should also understand. How does habit form? So the things we do is what we do, but before the things we do and after the things we've done, how does that loop work? And understanding that process and, looking at the laws that this person, so what we're going to be doing today is based actually on the book that this person wrote. His name is James Clear. He wrote The Atomic Habits. So that was the basis for it, because there are many concepts and there are many theories and a lot of research. But he based it on his own personal experience, things that happened to him while he was playing sports. He got real injured while he was playing sports in high school. And, he had to go through a process to be able to come back years later. So it's based on a very tortuous journey for him. And he was able to make a comeback, even though he had a setback. So that's the basis for most of the things we'll be discussing. So just to let us know about that. And how can we apply some of these strategies? There are a couple of concepts and strategies. How can we apply it? So that's the objective. As we do that, I pray that God will help us to get improved in Jesus' name. So the first thing there is the power of tiny changes. That's the first thing that he talked about. One of the key concepts is that, try to do, things in very, very small bits. Sometimes we like to do very big things. So, but one of the key concepts there is that the little things that we do very consistently over time compound and add up like into our self-improvement. And, when I was thinking about this, one of the things that comes to my mind is, when we talk about the compounding, people that are saving, they will tell you start saving very early and do it consistently. And if you do it consistently, you don't get anything out, but over time it compounds, and you will never realize, how much improvement you've made. So 1% improvement consistently every month, every day, every month, every year adds up. So that's one of the power of the things that he discussed in that book. And the idea is for us to say more of self-improvement. Then the other thing to talk about is about goals and systems. So we should set goals, and goals are very important to us, and it talks about the results that we want to achieve. I want to become this, I want to become that. As we do set those goals, and I've been listening to what our father and our mother has been telling us since, one of the things we will realize that those goals should also be balanced. So not just goals around our career, but goals for the family, goals for a spiritual life, and all of that. And our goals need to be smarter. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, realistic. It has a time horizon to it. We can evaluate that goal and get a reward at the end of the day. But one of the key things around it is actually that beyond your goals, you need to actually focus on the systems that help you to achieve those goals, the systems that help you to improve every day and, improve day by day, month by month, year by year. Those systems are really, really, really very important. And the core idea that he was talking about in that book is that you not rise to the level of your goals. No matter how lofty your goals is, you don't rise to that level. You always fall to the level of your systems. So if you have very lofty goals and your systems are crappy, your systems are always determined. So you have to focus on the systems if you really want better results. So that's one of the key concepts that was also in that book. So let's focus more on the systems as we look at the goals. Focus on the systems that help us improve and make sure that we're getting to the goals, and also more into a continuous improvement kind of cycle as well. Let's do a bit of a small exercise. If you think about habit, the word of habit in one word, how will you describe habit in one word? So there is a menti.com. So if you pull out your phone and go into menti.com and enter the code 366670143 and just describe habit in one word. So that's the first thing. Go to menti.com and then use the code 366670143. And in one word, what does habit mean? Or how would you describe an habit? Menti. MENTI.com. Okay, it's very small in the com. The code is 366700143. Three 6670143. Describe habit in one word. Yeah. See, consistent, daily, reflex, repeatable, repetitiveness, and routine. Any other descriptions? So it's something that we do consistently, something we do daily. It's like a reflex. Yeah, very good. and repeatable or repetitive. Anybody else adding to that? You want to add another one? Okay, yeah. If you want to add another one, you go back again here. So, all right. So let's take that. The other thing I wanted to think about is how long does it take to form a habit? In days, thinking number of days now. How long do you think it takes to form a habit? 1 day, 2 days, 10 days. So you can still go to the menti.com. I think I need to launch that one, if not per. All right, so we have the repetitive. Okay, so for the habit, we have sustainable, reflex, daily, routine, consistent, constantly. Good. Let's launch this one. How long does it take to form a habit in days? Same code. 36670143. Still showing the first one. Okay, I need to change my slides. All right. Yeah. So can you see the slide now? Is it? Yeah, you can see it now. "21 days, right, 66, 3 weeks." Okay. All right. 30 to 40, 3 months, okay, ish. Thank you very much. Let's move because of time. How long does it take to form a habit? People have done research about this, and they say maybe it takes about 66 days. It can be anywhere from 18 to 254 days. But it also depends on the complexity of the habit. It depends on individual differences and the consistency of repetition, which we have talked about. But one of the things that comes out from the book is also that the key thing is regular repetition. It's actually how many repetitions, that you can do to get to the place where that habit becomes kind of consistent, automatic, and with some of the things we've been talking. Let's move because of time. How does our habit shape your identity? So, Bella, please, can you take this one?
Thank you. So, I need to wear my glasses. So, the idea of identity is very foundational in the process of habit formation, and also in the process of behavioral change. So identity, what is identity? Identity is who you are, right? Is your belief system, is your worldview. And we talk about the 3 layers of behavioral change. Think of it as an onion. So there's a core, and then there's the middle layer, and then there's the outer layer. So the identity is, what do you believe in? And the processes that's the middle. The middle is the processes. What do you do? And then the outcome is, what is my result? So look at your goal as the outer layer. You are trying to achieve something, right? And then there are some processes that you want to go through to get to that thing. So that's the middle layer. And then that thing is you. Is the identity in the center. Let me use a practical example so that we can understand. I'm going to use in the field of health. Like you want to maybe lose 10 pounds. That is your goal. That is your result that you are looking at. And that is the outcome. Now, what are the processes that you are going to use? Because you're wanting to lose 10 pounds actually is that you want to be a healthy person, right? You want to be healthy. So the processes is, what do I do to be healthy? Like, for example, I want to be going to the gym 3 times a week. That's under the processes. Or I want to start eating healthy. That's under the processes. And then from that process, you get to your identity and you become healthy. So most of us, we look at achieving the identity from the outcome. We look from the outcome. Oh, I want to lose weight. And then I will become, then I will do a lot of things. I will go to the gym. I will work hard. Those are the processes. And then we get to the identity. So we go from outward to inward. But this book, the concept is encouraging us that we should go from inward, from our identity, from that identity through the processes then to achieve the goal, which is the outcome. And that is, what it's saying in essence is that who I am will determine what I will do and not the other way around, right? Who I am, I'm a healthy, conscious person. What does a healthy, conscious person do, right? They go to the gym. What does a health conscious person do? What does he do? He what else? Yeah, he eats healthy. So if you can sleep well, so if you can ask yourself, who am I? So the person that you are is what's going to generate what you will do. So instead of coming from outcome to identity, we go from identity to outcome. So that is identity-based habit. So you need to focus on who you wish to become rather than what is it that I want to do. And what normally happens is that when you become the person you want to be, then automatically you will start doing what you are supposed to do. And there's a 2-step process into changing your identity. The first one is that you need to decide who you are. Because at the end of the day, there's this saying in the book that your identity shapes your habits and your habits shapes your identity. Because talking about identity, nobody brought identity from heaven. You know, we just didn't just stay and then identity falls on you. No, identity is also derived from the different kind of habits that you do. So little habits here and there. For example, let's still take this health thing that we're talking about. Like if you go to the gym, you eat healthy. Those are small habits, tiny things you do every day. As you do those things, you begin to build your identity. So your identity creates your habits, and your habits create your identity. So it's like a two-way street, right? It's like a two-way street. So if you want to, start changing your identity, there are 2 steps. Number 1 is you have to ask yourself, who do I want to be? Who am I? For example, there's another example that was used in the book, like, I want to be somebody that reads. So you're not just going to start reading. You have to tell yourself that I'm a reader. I'm a reader. I'm somebody that is a reader. So that means I will start reading books. If you want to change your identity about your health, you will say, I'm a health conscious person. Then I start doing things that are healthy. So you have to know who you are first. You have to identify who you want to be. And then when you now know who you want to be, then you now have to start using small habits to be able to create that person that you want to be. So, for example, now, if you say, I'm a healthy person, I'm a health conscious person, then that means you have to start eating well, reducing your portions, and those are little wins. And every time you do that habit, you are voting towards that person that you want to become, right? And that's what makes you to become who you want to become. So why this matters is that your habit helps you to become the type of person you wish to become, and by developing your habits, your deepest belief about yourselves becomes cemented. So that's why identity is very, very important in habit formation.
Thank you very much for that. So let's move on. And then we're going to move now into a bit more of the other concepts as well. So how do we form habits as well? So most of the time is what we do that is very obvious, but beyond what we do, and I think when we did the word clouds, people have talked about the habit being repeated, automatic, that came out from there, so very good. So, but there are 4 steps. One is there is a cue, something that triggers. And the second one is the craving that gives you kind of motivation to want to do, or the desire to do that thing. The response is what you do. That's what we can see. But beyond the response, also there is a reward. And that reward kind of reinforces what we have done and kind of forces it into a loop. So every time you see that cue, you get the motivation, you do it again, you get the reward, and it forms into a loop. So there are a couple of examples that I give there. So the cue, you walk back past a donut shop, you smell. So that's the cue. You smell as you walk by. Oh, as you smell, you wanted to enjoy the treats, the motivation. So you enter, you buy, and you eat it. So once you eat it, you're satisfied. Yeah, I'm good. Anytime you hear the smell again, that loop will repeat itself. So there is always a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. And the cue can, we talked about smell, but sometimes it can be an event, it can be a time that you wake up, it can be a location that you go to. Once you are in that place, you are going to do certain things. It can be an emotional state, And then when it comes to the cravings, it can be desire, relief from stress, or you are seeking entertainment, you really want to be entertained. You want social connection sometimes, or you want to be alert. You want to be alert. And then you do what you want to do. But beyond doing that, it's that, you get the reward. And once you get the reward, you go into the loop. So that is the 4 steps. So understanding these 4 steps, now comes what do we do to reinforce the good things that we want to do with each of these steps, or the things we don't want to do. How do we break them into these steps? So there are 4 laws in that book. And it says, make it obvious. So that's for the cue. So if you want to create a good habit, make it obvious. The second one is make it attractive. Third is make it easy for you to respond. And fourth one is to make it satisfying. If you want to break a bad habit, and you can see that each of the laws is tied to those 4 stages of the habit formation. So the make it obvious is for the cue. If you want a good habit, make it obvious so that you will be seeing it every time. That cue will come every time. You make it attractive, your craving and the motivation goes into making you do it. If you make it very easy, it's easy for you to respond. And we'll come to a bit more there. And if you make it satisfying, you get a reward and you go into the loop. If you want to break the habit, a bad habit, you have to invert it. 1, you make it invisible, so you don't see the cue. You get the cue out of the way. You make it unattractive. Even if you see it, it's very unattractive. Make it difficult for you to do, and make it unsatisfying. So those are the 4 laws, and we just go into some of those laws and see some of the things. So for the law, number 1, make it obvious. The core principle is that your behaviors change. Start with awareness. You can see it, right? You can see it. One of the things there is to design your environment. Your environment design helps you to get the cue. All right? You want to eat vegetables and all of that. Sometimes they buy banana, they put it in the fridge, nobody sees it, it gets rotten. But they buy the banana and put it on a place where everybody can see it. And even if you just see it, then you eat it. That's the basic thing about making it obvious. Design your environment. Habit stacking. There are things that you are already doing, existing things. How can you put new habit on top of that? It helps you with making it obvious. It talked about having a scorecard where you list your habit and say, this works well, this doesn't work well, this is neutral, so you can see it as well. Make it obvious. And if you want to break a bad habit, reduce your exposure to the cue, right? It talked about self-discipline, that people focused on discipline people, but it's not about you, but discipline your environment. Make sure that the environment where you are is disciplined. That is what will make it sustainable. It is not focusing on yourself alone. That is make it obvious. Next law is about making it attractive. So make it really, really appealing. Yeah. As much as you can, make it attractive. Some of the strategies he talked about there is bundling, temptation bundling. He talked about somebody that wanted to watch Netflix and needed to work out and do this. The only time I'm going to watch Netflix is when I'm on my bike and doing something like that. That's temptation bundling. I would do the watching of the Netflix, but I'm only do it while I'm doing this. He also talked about social influence, that humans are herd animals, so we imitate people a lot. We imitate people that are close to us. We imitate the tribe. We imitate people with status. If you want to be a reader, join a reading club. Can help. Yeah, so when we're doing this, we're looking at bikers. You see a lot of bikers. You want to be, all right, join the club. So it encourages you. It makes it a bit more attractive because there's a social acceptance kind of it. And if you really want to get the bad habit, also reframe your associations as well. That also helps you. So we'll go into the other two laws.
Okay, so the third law is make it easy. And the core principle is that human nature will normally follow the law of least effort, right? Everybody wants a smooth path. Nobody wants a difficult path. So the natural way we are wired as human beings is to follow the law of least resistance. So we don't want friction. We want everything to glide from, all our habits. We want it to glide towards our efforts. We want there to be as little restriction as possible. But the way we are wired, human beings always want gratification immediately. That's the way our brain is wired. We want immediate gratification. But it's interesting that most of the long-term things, most of the good habits, they have long-term gratification. They don't happen immediately. So you find that now there's now like a mismatch between how we are wired, because we want the gratification now, as opposed to how most of our goals are wired. For example, if you are going to the gym, like our gym example that we're talking about, you're not going to see your gains immediately, right? You're not going to see the weight reduction immediately. But human beings want to see it immediately. So what is recommended in the book is that, so as to take advantage of that human nature where we want gratification immediately, you have to give yourself some kind of gratification while waiting for the long-term fulfillment of the actualization of that goal. And that example I would give with that gym one is that maybe if you go to the gym and you're trying to gain weight, you're trying to lose weight, and you know that you are still having the weight, but you need to do it for like maybe months and months before you see an effect. What you could do is that maybe I would say every day I go to the gym, I would maybe gift myself with something. And in that case, what you are gifting yourself with will necessarily not be like maybe pizza or ice cream, because that is already negating the goal. Maybe you could say, every week I will gift myself with a dress or something, or you could think of any other thing. But you are already giving yourself like an immediate satisfaction to satisfy that core human nature of immediate gratification. And what it says is that what is satisfied immediately, it gets repeated. But what is punished gets avoided. So it could be the other way around. If you are trying to avoid a habit, you give yourself an immediate punishment, in quotes, something that will make you not to love that thing, in the immediate. For example, if maybe you, give me an example of that one. Maybe if you, let's still go with this, our gym example. Because we are trying to lose weight, right? That's the only one that keeps coming to my mind. So maybe you are trying to lose weight now, and then you are going to the gym, and you want to prevent yourself from not going to the gym. You might say, if I miss my gym day, I'm going to miss breakfast that day, or I'm going to miss lunch. That's like immediate punishment. So that kind of dissuades you from missing the gym. So another thing about making it easy is you have to prime your environment. Prepare your space for the next action. So you must always make it easy for you to do whatever you want to do by preparing the things. For example, if you want to go to the gym tomorrow now, You might lay down your clothes, your gym shoe, maybe beside you, buy new gym clothes, put it beside you, lay it down for the next day. If maybe you want to cook vegetables, you don't want to be eating like things that are fattening, you might just cut the vegetable down the day before and put it in the fridge, so that it kind of reduces the difficulty of, getting into that habit of eating vegetables. So that is priming your environment. And the third one, another principle that you can use in making it easy, is using the 2-minute rule. And it is said that every big goal can be reduced to a 2-minute version. If you want to achieve something big, you can always reduce it to a 2-minute version. Like if you want to go for a 2-hour walk or a 1-hour walk, you can decide to reduce it to a 2-minute version. Walk around your house in 2 minutes. If you want to read a book, maybe your goal is to read a book in 1 book a week or 1 book a month, you can decide that I want to read 1 page a night. That's the 2-minute version. So you kind of make it easy for yourself because you have broken it down into, little pieces, and then you are able to overcome that inertia, that difficulty. So the conclusion on that is that when you make it easy, it is easier for you to achieve whatever, habits that you are trying to form, or to break whatever habits you are trying to break. So that's the law of making it easy.
Yeah, one other thing to note there is, if you can automate, that helps a lot. Government automates tax. You cannot get into the temptation of not paying, so they remove it from source. So things that you can also use technology to automate, can also help in that regard.
Okay, the fourth law. The fourth law is make it satisfying. So this fourth law, as we have already said, all these 4 laws, they are like levers at those, remember our loop, the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. So each of these laws 1, 2, 3, 4, they are kind of levers that you can apply at each level of that law to, make that process to transfer from just theory to practical. So these laws are actually ways of practicalizing that process that we talked about. So the fourth law that says make it satisfying, the core principle is that we are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. We all agree. If you are satisfied with something, there's more possibility that you are going to receive it. So what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. So we see that mismatch that we talked about earlier. And what normally happens is that if you want a bad habit to stop, you have to reward yourself. We've talked about that. So measuring the right thing. Another way of satisfying yourself is to measure, the habit, to see whether you are doing it or not. So, when you measure something, the simplest way is to strike something off a calendar. Like maybe you want to do something. Maybe you want to. I don't want to use the gym example again because I keep using gym example. If you want to lose weight,
gym example is there as well. Because if you're going to the gym, you want to lose weight, right? That will not happen that day. So if you are using your weight and it has happened to her, the weight is not going down. Sometimes the weight is going up, right? So if you measure that, it discourages you. So the idea is, what else can you measure that encourages you? Do you have better energy? Days with better stuff, better skin, or find something else that kind of encourages rather than things that we, discourage.
Okay, so habit tracking is to measure whether you are actually doing the habits. So there are different ways you can use. You can be crossing a calendar off, as you are achieving the habits. Or you could have maybe in terms of maybe you are trying to log your food, you could have a food calendar or a food log book where you are logging your food and knowing what you are eating and what you are not eating. So it's kind of satisfying when you see that, logging in that you are doing, or when you are striking something of, oh, I've done this, and you pat yourself at the back, I'm like, yes, I've done this. And then, so you kind of want to do a streak. Like he now has been doing one streak for the past how many years? Of Duolingo. Maybe you can have another, because he's already sharing my time, so you can as well give him, give the example of that, your
So I, in the Netherlands, when we were in the Netherlands, I work in Amsterdam and I was living in The Hague. So I don't drive, so I join the train every day. It's about 1 hour on the train every day. I needed to get a certificate in Dutch, that I understand Dutch to a certain level, right? So somebody introduced Duolingo to me, so yeah, okay. I started it I'm on the train every day, 1 hour. So I started with 3, and that, just 3 lessons every day. I do the 3 lessons when I'm going. So once I do the 3 lessons, I do other things on the train. When I'm coming, do 3 lessons, just like that. As of today, it's about 2,425 days that I started.
Every day?
Every day. I do it every day. So, but what happened was that when she was going to do the exam, she went to a class, took the exam, they had a class and all of that. So I was just doing my own Duolingo, and one day she said to me that, so when she had the things I was doing, she said, go for the exam. I said, go for the exam. But I'm just doing small things. So I said, go for the exam. So I prepared for the exam. I passed the exam.
Just by those little things he was doing every day.
Just 3 lessons started with, Right.
So, and I have another practical example as well. I decided that I wanted to work for 100 days, for 1 hour every day, without breaking. And, I started it. I've already completed it. Yes, I've completed it. So what I want to talk about this trick thing is that when you do something continuously and you are noting it. I remember at a point I wanted to give up at like day 40 something. Sometimes I don't feel like going out. I'm tired. My feet are paining me, everything. But I now started doing a countdown. So that is something that is like measuring. I'm like, 40 days more, 39 days more. So that is like making it obvious, tracking. So tracking is very, very important because it gives you some kind of satisfaction. So that law of make it satisfying, you need to have a way of measuring whatever habit that you are doing to make it satisfying. And then the last thing under this 4th law is accountability partner. We need accountability partner. And the reason why we need accountability partner is that everybody loves to be nobody wants to look bad, Like there's this general thing that, okay, what if everybody is blind? Would you dress the way you are dressing? Ask yourself. Would you comb your hair? Everybody is blind, nobody is seeing you. So somehow a lot of things we do has to do with trying to please people or trying to look good for people. So if you have an accountability partner, especially somebody that you look up to, that you really want the person to be impressed by you, then you do all you can to make sure that the person is not disappointed in you. And so an accountability partner is also a very good way in making sure that you continue your habits. And under this 4th law as well, you can have contracts. Contracts, like you say, if I fail in this, then I will do this, sign it. There was even a particular one that they talked about that. Do you want to explain that one?
There was one that he gave the example that, if he fails to do the thing, so if he fails to do it, he signs it.
Gym.
Yeah, I think it was a gym as well. If he fails to do it, then he's going to give the wife $500 to do whatever the wife likes.
And I said I really like that one. And another one was like somebody said, okay, I want to start going to the gym. If I fail to go to the gym or I fail to eat healthy, then I need to dress. The person really hates dressing formal. He's always wanting to wear jeans. So then he had to sign a contract with the accountability partner that if I fail to go to the gym and to tag it to eat healthy, then I will have to dress formally, wear suit, tie, everything to work every day. So, so that's like a kind of contract that you sign. So you could sign a formal contract like that with your accountability partner, or it could just be just allowing your accountability partner to just watch what you are doing and check in on you. So that's, is also very, very important in making sure that your habits are formed. Because when we are talking about habits, we are forming good habits, and we're also breaking bad habits. So always look at it on the canvas.
So now we're going to break into groups and just kind of get a little bit more in the depth. Let us break into groups.
Yes, so we are going to choose we're going to start it from, okay, mommy.
No.
No, it's 1, 2.
1, 2, because
Yes. Oh, okay. It's 1, 2.